Tokyo Extreme Racer Zero is an arcade-style street racing game that was released for the PlayStation 2 in 2001, and this game is a sequel to the Dreamcast title known as Tokyo Extreme Racer. This game originally had been in development and was scheduled to be developed and released for the Dreamcast, but was later cancelled and moved to the PlayStation 2. And from there on, the games would end up being released primarily on that console instead. The game takes on the role of you, the character, where you have to work your way up the ranks through a variety of different street racers. You start at the bottom with a base level car, and you have to earn money by winning races and competing in races in order to level up, if you will, so that you can earn enough money to upgrade your car's attributes, change the body kits, change the engines, and change the power outputs of the car so that you can compete at a subsequent level, so that you can overcome your opponents. And throughout each section of the game, because you will be racing on various different highways and junctions around the Tokyo and even Japanese intersections or different areas in Japan, and the goal is to defeat or win against as many racers as possible within each region, and then you will be then met with kind of like a boss level that's over that region, and then it's up to you then to defeat him in order to progress to the next stage, where you will then have to rinse and repeat, where you'll have to win more races against more advanced cars and better drivers and more difficult drivers, again to challenge more bosses, which will again help you to level up even further so that you can become the best racer on the streets. Now, the game itself has a great use of upgrade features and some of the best car customization elements seen on the PlayStation 2 in a racing game at that time. And the game has a very impressive selection of cars that almost rivals earlier Gran Turismo games, with a list of 165 cars that all reflect iconic Japanese classics and big name cars, while all the cars in the game are unlicensed due to copyright reasons, but they have the look and almost nostalgic feel of the most iconic cars you would see at that time, anything from the Honda NSX to the Nissan Skyline, the Toyota Corolla, among many others that you would be familiar with. So if you're into those type of racing games and you love those type of Japanese JDM classics, you'll be right at home here. There's a lot in this game to keep you playing for a while, let's just put it that way, especially if you're trying to unlock all of the cars. There's definitely a lot here to keep you playing for a long time, and there's enough replay value in it, especially with regards to the modes and the amount of street races that you can do, because again, you can just keep going through street races as much as you want in order to keep earning enough money so that you can keep upgrading your cars. And the further into the game that you get and the more challenging opponents that you face and beat, you will again win even more money so that you'll be able to level up with your car upgrades even faster. While it's not considered to be the best racer in the system, it definitely has enough going for it that warrants a playthrough, and it is a really good all-round solid racer. While the handling physics of the game may not be as well refined compared to other racers in the system, and it can be difficult to master, especially from a beginner standpoint if you're new to the game, because you not only have to contend with racing against other street racers, you also have to deal with a lot of traffic, because when you're driving in the game, especially later on when you upgrade your cars, you can reach very high speeds in this game, so it's very, very tricky to maneuver around various obstacles, roadblocks and other traffic elements when you're travelling at high speeds. So you have to be always aware of your surroundings if you have any chance of winning a race. But the alternative is as well sometimes that the opponents that you're racing against will also make mistakes from time to time, and that they will also crash into various obstacles too, so that can also help you to gain an advantage. And how you actually win races is that there's no finish line as such. You have to gain a certain momentum where you have to reach a certain amount of meters, or you have to get a certain distance away from your opponent in order to win. And once you achieve that, and after a certain time period, you will win the race, and then again you'll win the money that's needed to again level up. So it is a really good solid racer, and in my opinion, because I used to own the game back in the day and I genuinely really enjoyed it. Now, it was tough to get into it first, but the more time you put into it, you got to understand the various dynamics, and it has some great customization elements with regards to the cars and the body kits and the things that you can do with the cars. And for me, it's one of the better games to do that on the PlayStation, that it's close to, and if not rivals, even the Need for Speed games. It's a really good alternative to those games, in fairness, it really is. While it may not be as refined, it's really a good solid all-round racer, and for me personally, it's definitely one of my favourite racers on the PS2. I highly recommend it. It may not be for everybody, but if you genuinely like car customization, modding your car, and you like high speed chases, racing around city streets and even highways, and especially within the Japanese kind of style element, this game will be definitely for you. It is a good series, and it genuinely proves that because it went on to spawn a number of sequels on the console during that time. And there was also likes of Tokyo Extreme Racer 3, while a good game in its own right. I found that game to not be as well polished or just even as good as this one. I found this version of the game to be better, and especially from a handling dynamic point of view. I found that the car handling physics were better in this game compared to its sequel. But then that's just my opinion, but everybody else's opinion will probably differ, and I'm sure other people have different experiences with the game in general. But I think it's a really good all-round solid racer that's definitely deserving of a playthrough in all regards. And if you are into car customization, this is without a doubt one of the best games you can play on the PS2 for that. So I highly recommend you do check it out. It is a good solid racer without a doubt, and it is a good alternative to the Need for Speed Underground games for sure. So I would love to know your thoughts on Tokyo Extreme Racer Zero for the PS2, and what do you think of the game overall? Would you consider it to be among some of your favourite racers on the PS2, or maybe not? And did you enjoy the game even more so? I would love to hear whatever stories you do have of this game, so be sure to share it down in the comments below. And if you have enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel and hit that bell to be updated of future videos. And if you would like to see more content around other racing games similar to this seen on the PS2, you can check out the playlist here on screen to see more of those games in action. And I will see you all in the next one.